Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a text that pulls off an absolutely massive leap. It's a book that starts out with intensely practical, everyday self-help advice and then completely pivots to make these massive, cosmic religious claims. As a reader, it's an incredible structural shift to witness. And today, we're going to break down exactly how the author constructs this fascinating journey.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're analyzing a foundational text called The Laws of the Sun, written by Ryuho Okawa. Specifically, we're zooming right in on the final chapter of this book, which is titled The Path to Cantare. Our goal today is to neutrally map out the ideas presented here, looking at how the text guides you, the reader, through a deeply personal transformation before unveiling a truly startling autobiographical and theological narrative.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with Awakening to True Self. Then, we'll look at Sparkle and Golden Courage. Third is Youth and Spiritual Awakening. And finally, the Mission of Cantare.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Awakening to True Self.
According to the book, humans aren't just flesh and bone. We're eternal souls, trapped in a continuous cycle of reincarnation. And because we've been on this loop for so long, over time, we've built up what the author calls the false self. Think of this false self as an ego driven by vanity, animalistic desires, and this fundamental, almost automatic instinct to just take love from others rather than give it. The text argues that your very first step toward any kind of true enlightenment is actually recognizing and then dismantling this false identity.
To help you dismantle that false self, the book poses a pointed, self-reflective question right to you. Have you been giving love or just taking it? It's a pretty jarring question, honestly, and it's meant to pull the reader right out of their daily complacency.
So what's the antidote to this false self? The text calls it giving love. But the author isn't just talking about a gentle, passive sort of kindness. No, he uses a really vivid metaphor here. Giving love means practicing unselfishness with a burning, red-hot passion, literally comparing it to a piece of hot iron. It demands living a life rooted in daily reflection to achieve what's called the middle way, shaking off worldly attachments and pushing your energy outwardly to help others.
Moving right along to Section 2, Sparkle and Golden Courage.
Central to this whole idea of living a sparkling life is a concept the book calls diamond time. Now, the text argues that to live your limited time on Earth with real density and purpose, you have to do something kind of radical. You must consciously visualize the exact moment of your own death. By evaluating your current, everyday life choices as if you were facing death tomorrow, the idea is that your time becomes as dense, brilliant, and valuable as a diamond.
Now, the text doesn't just leave you hanging with these abstract concepts. It actually provides a step-by-step framework. First, imagine your death. Second, use that intense perspective to reflect on your life objectively. Third, form a clear, positive vision for the future. And fourth, and this is where the spiritual elements really begin to seep in, use that clear vision to connect with guiding spirits in the heavenly realm.
To actually achieve all of this, the text introduces the power of golden courage. The author compares this courage to a heavy axe. Think of human delusion, worldly constraints, and common sense as this massive, tangled vine. Golden courage is the axe you need to forcefully chop down that tree of delusion so you can finally live freely and make true spiritual progress.
Okay, here is where things take a major turn. Section 3, Youth and Spiritual Awakening.
We are now leaving the micro-perspective of personal self-improvement behind because the text executes a massive thematic pivot right into the author's own supernatural biography. It maps out Ryuho Okawa's spiritual timeline, starting from his youth. It covers his conventional life, going from elementary school through his time at Tokyo University to a career as a trading company employee. But running perfectly parallel to this normal life is a completely supernatural narrative. The text claims Okawa experienced out-of-body visions of heaven and hell as a child, and all of this built up to a pivotal year, 1981, when profound spiritual awakenings allegedly began to happen.
The text actually zeroes in on one very specific date, the fateful afternoon of February 23, 1981. The author recounts sitting in his room when he suddenly felt this invisible presence. He says his hand, holding a pencil, just began to move as if it had a life of its own, writing out messages on cards. This moment initiated a period of deep spiritual communication through what's known as automatic writing.
Through this automatic writing, starting with Revelations from Jesus Christ in 1981, the author says spirits of past historical figures started communicating. We're talking figures like Nichiren and Shinji Takahashi, who, the text notes, even admitted posthumous errors regarding his own organization, the GLA. But most crucially, the text claims it was here that Okawa learned about the true spiritual lineages, specifically distinguishing the El Cantare lineage from the reverse, Enlil lineage, and was acknowledged as the literal return of Shakyamuni Buddha.
This brings us to our final part, Section 4, the mission of El Cantare.
So who or what exactly is El Cantare? Well, the sheer magnitude of the claim here is wild. According to the book, El Cantare is the supreme spiritual being of the Earth Spirit group. The monumental assertion the text makes is that the core consciousness of this supreme entity, who allegedly previously incarnated as Shakyamuni Buddha in India and Hermes in Greece, has now incarnated directly as the author himself, Ryuho Okawa.
Armed with this total self-awareness of his identity as El Cantare, the text then explains Okawa's next steps. He chose to completely abandon his stable, successful corporate career at a trading company. Instead, he dedicated himself to writing texts like The Laws of the Sun and founded the organization Happy Science. And his stated goal? It's not just to teach spirituality. It's to act as the greatest savior in Earth's history and literally build an entirely new global civilization.
The whole chapter culminates in this dramatic final call to global salvation presented directly to you, the reader. Believe in me and gather. It really showcases the sheer scale of the text's ambition, right? We just went from simple advice on how to be a little less selfish all the way to a global summons from a self-declared supreme spiritual being.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question to chew on. How does bridging intensely practical life advice, like facing your own mortality to live a better day-to-day life, with massive cosmic spiritual claims, influence the way a modern movement grows? It is an absolutely fascinating structural strategy, pulling the reader in with the relatable micro-level stuff before pulling the curtain back on the macro. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the source material. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.